trading post on Viridian 7 was supposed to be neutral ground. Elsa had reminded herself of this fact 3 times since landing, yet the stares from the other species still made her hyper-aware of every movement. Humans were rare this far into the outer reaches, and their reputation preceded them. Zia adjusted the cargo manifest on his datapad, deliberately ignoring the cluster of Crithian merchants who'd stopped their conversation to watch them pass. "Don't engage," he muttered under his breath. "Wasn't planning to," Elsa replied, though her hand instinctively moved closer to the neural disruptor at her hip. They'd come to Viridian 7 for one reason, to acquire Helian crystals for their ship's deteriorating FTL drive. The crystals were rare, expensive, and, according to their contact, available here without the usual coalition bureaucracy. What their contact hadn't mentioned was that the trading post sat at the edge of Vazcor territory. The Vazcor were apex predators on 17 different worlds, 4 meters tall, covered in midnight blue scales, with rows of crystalline teeth that could tear through starship hull plating. The Galactic Coalition had spent decades negotiating peace with them, carefully avoiding anything that might trigger their predatory instincts. Humans apparently triggered all of them. "There," Zia nodded toward a prefabricated structure at the edge of the settlement. "That's our contact's shop." They were halfway across the dusty plaza when Elsa heard it, a high-pitched chirping sound almost musical. She turned and her breath caught. A Vazcor cub, no larger than a terrier, had escaped from a nearby dwelling. Its scales were still soft and iridescent, its teeth merely nubs. It bounded toward them with the uncoordinated enthusiasm of any young creature, chirping excitedly. "Oh no," Zia whispered. The entire plaza had gone silent. Every alien eye was fixed on them. Elsa understood immediately. If they harmed the cub even accidentally, they'd start an interstellar incident. If they ran and triggered its chase instinct, they might get hunted. If they did nothing, the cub reached them and reared up on its hind legs, barely reaching Elsa's knee. It opened its small mouth and produced what was clearly meant to be a fearsome roar. The sound came out as an adorable squeak. Something in Elsa's brain short-circuited. Every rational thought about diplomatic protocols and survival instincts vanished, replaced by a single overwhelming impulse. She dropped into a crouch, looked the cub straight in its large gleaming eyes and roared back, not a human scream or shout, a roar. Deep, guttural, primal, the kind of sound that evolutionarily predated language, the sound her ancestors made to scare cave bears and establish dominance over the natural world. The plaza erupted in chaos. The cub's eyes went wide. It stumbled backward, tripped over its own tail, and landed on its back with its legs in the air. Then, incredibly, its tail began to wag. It rolled onto its stomach and chirped again, this time in a tone that every species in the galaxy recognized. "Play." "Elsa, what did you just—" Zia started, but he was interrupted by a sound like grinding stone. An adult Vazcor emerged from the dwelling, moving with the lethal grace of a creature that had never known a natural predator. Its scales were battle-scarred, its eyes cold and calculating. It looked at its cub, then at Elsa, still crouched and ready. The entire plaza held its breath. The Vazcor tilted its massive head, studying Elsa with an intensity that made her skin prickle. Then it did something unprecedented. It lowered its head slightly, not a bow but an acknowledgement, a gesture of respect between equals. The cub bounded back to its parent, chirping excitedly and dancing in circles. The adult Vazcor made a deep rumbling sound that Zia's translator struggled to process, finally settling on, "Teaching appropriate boundaries to young ones is appreciated." Elsa slowly stood, her heart hammering. "Just playing," she managed. The Vazcor's expression, if it could be called that, might have been amusement. "Humans," it said, the word carrying layers of meaning the translator couldn't quite capture. "The galaxy says you are pack-bond species, that you adopt predators as companions, that you make friends of prey and hunters alike. We've been known to," Elsa said carefully. "They say you are neither true predators nor prey, that you exist in a strange space between, refusing to be categorized." The Vazcor's eyes glinted. "This is why you confuse us. Why you frighten us." Zia found his voice. "We don't mean to—" "But you should," the Vazcor interrupted. "Any species that roars at a predator's cub and makes it submit through play rather than violence? That is not weakness. That is a different kind of strength. One we are still learning to understand." The adult Vazcor turned to leave, then paused. "Your contact's shop. Tell him Raxcor sent you. Your crystals will be half price. It gestured with one massive claw toward its cub now rolling in the dust. For teaching my spawn a valuable lesson, that in this galaxy there are always bigger roars. As the two Vazcor disappeared into their dwelling, the normal sounds of the trading post slowly resumed. Elsa and Zia stood frozen for a moment before continuing toward their contact's shop. Did that just happen? Zia asked. I think, Elsa said, watching as several other alien species gave them a wider berth. We just accidentally demonstrated why humans are terrifying. By playing with a baby predator? By treating a baby predator like a puppy and having it work. Elsa shook her head, a smile creeping across her face. The galaxy thinks in terms of predator and prey, hunter and hunted. We think in terms of friend and threat. Everything else is negotiable. Zia laughed, the tension finally breaking. Humanity fuck ya. Humanity fuck ya, Elsa agreed. As they entered the shop, neither noticed the ripple of conversation spreading through the trading post, or the way the other species spoke of the humans who roared at an apex predator's child, and somehow earned its respect. But they would hear the stories later, passed from world to world, tales of humans and their strange, impossible way of seeing the universe not as a hierarchy of strength, but as an opportunity for friendship with everything that breathed. Even the monsters,